Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar on ZDK CLI, the third webinar in the series, Zoho Developer Community Learning Series. I am Mabel, I am part of the team that deals with Zoho Developer documentation exclusively. In the first webinar, we had checked what is ZDK CLI, its definition. ZDK CLI is Zoho Development Kit, command line interface. It is a set of tools that can be used to interact with and manage Zoho CRM metadata using commands. We discussed its usage, beneficiaries, how to install it. We also discussed its supported feature and had a demo over the basic commands of ZDK CLI. In the second session, we discussed in detail ZDK CLI commands and the underlying directory structure that supports the working of ZDK CLI. In this webinar, we will be discussing these points. We will be discussing how to create and edit all the supported metadata using ZDK CLI. We will be discussing a use case that complements Zoho CRM. We will be discussing event management system and we will be creating it using ZDK CLI. We will also discuss conflicts and pushing changes and how to handle conflicts even using other tools. So let's get started. So creating and modifying supported metadata. These are the supported metadata of ZDK CLI: profiles, roles, modules, fields, layouts, and widgets. Profiles can be used to toggle permissions on and off for different users. Roles define the user hierarchy in an organization and can also be used for data sharing. Modules are a set of organized data that you have in your CRM. Fields are the building block of data. Layouts are how the data is displayed in modules, and widgets are customizable UI components in your CRM. To create these supported metadata resources, the format is ZDK Meta Create and the type of the metadata. Now let's see profiles first. To create profiles, we give the command ZDK Meta Create Profiles. Here I'm giving the profile name as employee, API name also as employee, and giving a brief description for the profile. It creates the meta file in the format API name of the profile.profiles-meta.json. So here it is employee.profiles-meta.json. This JSON file is created inside ZDK project name under the directory CRM Meta Profiles. Let's check roles. Let's check how to modify it. Inside the JSON, the modifiable fields are name of the profile is and description of the profile, and different permissions of the profile will be listed in an array. You can toggle them on or off using the enable property. Roles. ZDK Meta Create Roles is the command. The inputs required are role name, API name, description of the role, and the reporting to hierarchy of the role. So here I am creating a new role for event manager. I'm giving the API name as event_manager. Role description is manages different conferences, reporting to a CEO, and creates the meta file. Here the meta file is event_manager.roles-meta.json. It's in the path ZDK project name CRM Meta Roles. Modifying roles. The properties that are modifiable are name of the role, description. You can change the forecast manager of the role, whether it can be shared with peers, share_with_peers, and the reporting to hierarchy can also be changed in the JSON file. Creating modules. The command is ZDK Meta Create Modules. Here I have given for the new module venue, singular label as venue, plural label venues, API name as venue. List of the profiles to be associated with the modules are, I have given administrator and standard in comma separated format, and it creates the meta file. Here venue.modules-meta.json, in the path ZDK project name CRM Meta Modules, and the API name of the module venue. Modifiable fields inside module JSON are, you can modify which profiles has access to the modules, the singular and plural label of the module, and the sequence number, that is the order in which it is displayed in the navigation bar in the UI. Moving on to fields, we have ZDK Meta Create fields. I'm given we have to give the module API name first, that is for which module we are creating the field, API name of the field name of the field, the data type of the field, and the meta file will get created. Here I've given capacity field, so capacity.fields-meta.json. In the path, ZDK project name, CRM, meta, modules, the module for which the fields is getting created. Here it is venue and fields. The modifiable properties of fields. I can modify these properties: the label of the field, length, profiles which have permissions for the field. For security and compliance, I have HIPAA compliance enabled, private, crypt, whether it is unique or not, a tooltip to be displayed when you hover over it, and I have these fields, these which are specific for different data types like decimal, currency, etc. Creating layouts. Layouts is also a module specific one, so we have to give the module API name first. I'm giving conference as the module name, creating a layout by the name basic. API name also I'm giving basic, and it is associated with the profiles, administrator, standard, and user. So it creates the meta file for the layouts, basics.layouts meta.json. In the path, CRM meta modules, conference, layouts. The modifiable fields inside layout are the profile properties, status, name of the layout. We have different sections in the layout in which you can modify the name, the sequence of the section, and the tab traversal, whether it is from left to right or from top to bottom. Column count, you can give it a single column or double column. And inside different section fields, you can modify the fields and the sequence number of different fields. Widgets, you can create different type of widget using ZDK Meta Create Widgets command. Here I am creating a simple external widget by the name calendar. I'm giving the widget name as calendar and API name too. I'm giving a simple widget description. Widget type, different widget types will be listed when you run the command. Here I am giving home page dashboard, hosting as external, and the base URL is also provided, upon which the meta file is getting created. Here, the meta file is calendar.widgets-meta.json. In the path, ZDK project name CRM meta widgets. The modifiable properties of widgets are start URL, description, active, base URL, which is editable for external widgets, name, and mobile compatible for specific widget types. Have all these details listed in the metadata documentation, which is available in this path. Now, let us discuss a use case that is complementary to Zoho CRM, which can be created using ZDK CLI. In this case, I can modify modules, fields, and roles and widgets here. Consider the case of Silker, a Zoho CRM partner who is also a partner for its competing products. Silker is creating a conference in which their representative are inviting speakers from Zoho and also other competing products, and the attendees of the conference will be either external attendees or leads or contacts of Silker. For achieving this, we are creating these modules. I'm creating a separate module called conference. I'm not creating the one inside meetings, which was previously called events in Zoho CRM. I have to create a new module for this use case. In this one, I have these details: name, attendees, which is a multi-select lookup to attendee module, which is also a custom module; speakers, multi-select lookup to speakers module, another custom module; venue, another custom module, and a lookup to it; date, and duration of the conference, a brief description, and status of the conference, whether it is planned, ongoing, or completed, which is a peak list. For the attendees module, I have the name will be created by default, email, phone, company, the events attended, which will be created when the multi-select lookup in conference module is created, the type of the attendee, leads and contacts as lookups, and external attendee name, email, or company. I can select the type of the attendee as lead, contact, and external and provide the specific details. For the multi-select lookup, there will be a linking module created for which I can track the registration status of each attendee for the conference they are attending. Like registration status, the pick list values are registered, attended, and cancelled. Another custom module, venue, which has the name, location, capacity, and the contact person and contact number of the venue and a brief description of the venue. We also have speakers module, in which we have the name of the speaker, email, phone number, the company from which the speaker is representing, the status, confirmed, pending, and cancelled. We also have a specific role created in the company for event manager. So we will be creating a role inside Zoho CRM using ZDK CLI as event manager. We also have a widget which can be used to track the attendees, and we will discuss the widget in the next webinar. So let us see this in action now. So here I have the data model that we discussed. So attendees is connected to conference attendee linking module and to conference and to contacts module. We will check this in UI now. I have 2 sandbox accounts in my local setup. I've already created this setup in the Zenith sandbox. So here I have the conference created, in which I have the details of speaker, which is a lookup to multi-select lookup to the speakers module, and the venue. I also have the attendees, which I can add. So let me show you the attendees module here. So here I have different attendee types, leads, contacts, and external. Leads as a lookup, contacts as a lookup, and separate fields for entering details of external attendees. Let us see how to create this using ZDK CLI. So I have a project created here. In the meta.json, I have given fields, layouts, modules, and roles, because these will be what I am customizing here. In ZDK project JSON, I have changed the API version to 8 because from version 8, we are supporting multi-select lookup, and I am creating multi-select lookup for this use case here. So let us start by creating a new module, conference, giving the singular label and plural label as conferences, API name as conference, and the list of the profile as administrator and standard. So it has created the meta file. Here we can see the meta file for the conference module here. It has all the details that we have entered. When we create it here, the meta file gets created locally. To reflect it in the UI, you need to push the changes back using ZDK or push command. I'm creating the second module, attendee. Singular label as attendee, plural label as attendees. API name I'm giving as attendee, list of profile as administrator and standard. Creating venue module here, singular label venue, venues, API name as venue, and profiles administrator and standard. So as I'm creating this meta, you can see that the corresponding folders are also getting created under the modules folder. So the last one is ZDK Meta Create modules for speaker module. Speakers, API name as speaker, and the list of profiles that is associated with it. You can execute the org status command to see the changes that is there locally. So you can see this listing all the module JSON. I'll push these changes. So the push command will schedule a job. It is an asynchronous command. And when we execute the push result command, we can see the result of the job ID that is getting created in the backend. So let me execute the push result command here. So you can see that all the details that we created locally using the ZDK Meta Create command has been added to the UI. Let us check our sandbox. This is the Zenith sandbox. I've created the new Silker sandbox here. Let me go to the settings and check whether the changes are reflecting. So we have the 4 modules that we created: attendees, conference, speakers, and venues. We have just created the modules alone, and they have just the default fields that are there, like name, email, owner, secondary email, modified B, and the email opt-out. If we want to when we want to customize it further, we have to create further fields inside these modules. So we can either create them using the ZDK Meta Create command, ZDK Meta Create modules, and let me create for venue module the capacity field. So I've created it here. Another alternative is you can copy the JSON file if you have created this for another organization earlier and you have the backup, or you have exported it using ZDK or export command, you can use those files and copy it to the corresponding path. So here, if you see, I have the backup for these modules. Inside attendee fields, I have the company name, phone name. Inside conference, I have the multi-select lookup for attendee and conference date. So all these fields I can copy, and it does the same thing as the ZDK Meta Create command. That is creating the JSON file in the corresponding path. So let me try creating the multi-select lookup now for attendee module. Multi-select lookup from the conference module to the attendees module. Sorry, I have to execute ZDK Meta Create fields now. I'm creating it for the conference module. The field name is attendees. API name is also attendees. I'll give the API name as conference attendees, like I had given earlier. Data type is multi-select lookup. So I have it here. Let me check the local file. So in using VS Code here, in which I can conveniently check the different files in the file explorer. So I have the JSON file created here. As you can see, the dependent fields of the multi-select lookup are not present. When we use the ZDK Meta Create file, we will have a new field created in this format. And for fields with dependent fields, we will have to add it locally, add it manually. So I'll open the backup file and copy the multi-select JSON object from here. So in this multi-select JSON object, I have details such as connected details, which contains to which module the multi-select lookup is pointing. Here it is the attendee module, and the field label inside that connected module, attending conference. We are also giving the linking module detail as conference attendees. So you can save the file here, and when I give the status command, it is showing fields that we have added now. Let me try pushing the changes. I'm executing the push result command along with the job ID here to get the result of the push job. So you can see that both these fields in the conference module and the venue module respectively has been created. Let us check our local directory structure. Inside ZDK demo, I have the ZDK conference here, and I have the multi-select lookup here, which has been pushed. We also need lookup in the attendees module. We need lookup to leads module and contacts module. So here I'm creating the second contact in the attendee module. Second field contacts. Giving the data type as lookup. Here I have the data type. Similar to the multi-select lookup, we need to give the lookup details here. I need another field pick list for the attendee type. So I'm executing it in the module API name here. So we have the name of the pick list as attendee type, and we have the values leads, contacts, and external. Giving the API name as attendee underscore type and data type as pick list. We have the attendee type pick list here. For pick list values, you need to give the details in this format. Let me copy this format here. Have leads, contacts, and external. Changing the display value and the actual value here. Make sure when you do this that your JSON is in correct format. Otherwise, the Meta Create won't, the JSON file won't go through and get deployed. You'll get error result in the push result command. So we also need to add lookup details here. For lookup, we need to give the module and module API name to which the lookup is created and the display label of the lookup. So here I'm copying this format and adding it to the contacts module. So I need it to contacts, and display label is also contacts. We also need the lookup changed in the leads lookup. Changing the API name of the module and the display label for the lookup. So now let's try pushing the changes here. We have these three fields created: attendee type, contacts, and leads. All these are non-basic fields. That is, they have dependent fields which we have to change in the JSON file of the corresponding meta. Executing the push result command here. So we have all these files created. Let us check it in the UI for the Silk sandbox. So this is my Silk sandbox. I'll check the attendees module. So we have the new lookups for contacts and leads. We have the pick list for attendee type, for which we have the option as leads, contacts, and external. You can also add the name and company of the external attendee, and the attendee module will be fully usable. Similar to this, we can add all the other required fields and even the basic fields and the non-basic fields. I have discussed all the non-basic fields: multi-select lookup, and pick list. You can edit the JSON, and when you push the changes, the field will get added in the UI, and you will be able to manage different conferences that is held in the company. Also create a event manager role which is specific for the managing these conferences. Now let us discuss conflicts. Conflicts are competing changes in the same file in the UI and local. That is, different exist in the same file between the local copy and the remote copy. ZDK CLI cannot auto-resolve conflicts, and you need to intervene and decide which change you need to keep. Conflicts may happen when you execute ZDK or push command or ZDK or pull command. command sequence when conflict occurs is ZDK or pull command, then you need to execute, pull resolve command -f file path, and then ZDK or pull update command. Let me show you this change. Suppose in our event management system, at first you were holding a conference, and then you are going to change it to hackathon because you are going to host a hackathon now. So we have the singular label as hackathon here and plural label as hackathons. What if at the same time your team member changes the name of module here to convention? Let's see what happens then. So if conflicts didn't exist, when you are executing the or push command, the changes that you may not be aware of the change your team member did, and the changes might get overwritten. In this case, because of conflicts, you will be aware of the changes in the UI and you can compare it and then decide which change you need to keep locally. In the second webinar, when we discussed conflict, we did resolve it using ZDK or pull resolve command, and it opened a three-way editor in the web browser. Now let us check the different tools that are available. Here I am using the Vim tool. I'm using -- tool, Vim option, and -f and the path of the file. So here in the left pane, I have the changes that were original before the change I did locally, that is singular label as conference and plural label as conferences. In the center pane, I have the local changes as hackathon and hackathons. And in the right pane, I have the remote change, that is convention and conventions. I'm deciding to keep the change that I have done locally. I can also edit the center pane file to change it to convention or conventions in case I have decided with my team member and agreed to keep the singular label and plural label as conventions and conventions. So when I save these files here, the conflict is resolved and it is showing the message as file path successfully saved and file resolved. Then I can go ahead and push the changes. At first, I have to update the local copy using the pull update command and then push the changes. I have the job ID here, executing the ZDK or push result -- job ID command, and the job is ongoing, so it is showing that process is in progress. Let me try executing it again. So now the modules label has been modified successfully. I'll reload it here and check whether it is showing hackathon. As you see here, the conventions change has been renamed to hackathon's name. We have a detailed documentation available for ZDK CLI. It's the QR code and the URL.